Andrew McCART, IFL TV. I'm here in Newcastle and I've got the main man himself. Notice I said main man? Frank Smith.
I appreciate that. The second main man.
Yeah.
But I'll take it, mate. I'll take it, honestly.
The main man between me and you.
I've been living in the shadows for a long time, so thank you, Andrew.
You're very, very welcome. Frank, let's talk about this card now. I spoke with Eddie in Liverpool and Eddie said a lot of things about the prospects coming through. They need to show him something because all these walkover fights, getting to 10-0, we need to see more 50 fights and for the young prospects to show us something, whether that be the press conference, the weigh-in, the fight night. We've seen a little bit, there was a lot of needle there. We didn't think, well, I didn't expect anything from this press conference, but we got a little bit of needle there.
Yeah, 100%. And it's all about, that's what these next-gen shows are about, is getting fighters ready for those moments when they do step up to headline those big shows. You know, we're in for a great night on Saturday, you know, all the way from before the bell. You've obviously got the Reese brothers, you've got Jimmy Sains, who's, you know, a standout amateur coming through. He had his debut a few months ago with us. You know, we're excited about the future for him. And on the main card, you've obviously got Ishmael against you, and 8-0 and 11-0. You know, that fight's an important fight because the winner of that fight can go on to, you know, really use this platform and go on to some big nights from here. Even the loser, though, you know, if they go in there and they give it their all, that's what people want to see. That's what fans want to see, and they'll get themselves another opportunity. You know, Mark Dickinson, I've never seen him like that. You know, but it's good because you're actually firing up for a fight, you know, against Grant Dennis, and that's, you know, that back and forward. That's all going to help. You know, you've got an experienced fighter in Grant, you know, going in there against Mark, who very much early in his pro career, but has had a standout amateur career. So excited for that. Callum French, you know, big ticket seller up here. He's been out the ring for 6 months, goes in against Jeff Afari, another talented fighter. It's a brilliant fight on the card. You've got Shabazz Massoud, headlines. You know, you've had a delay there, but glad to get that one back on so quickly. You know, he's going to be challenging for a world title, we feel, next year. And after so long out the ring, a fight against the likes of San Martin and another experienced fighter is exactly what he needs. And obviously Cameron Vong, who, you know, performed brilliantly on his debut just 5 weeks ago, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks ago on the Wood Warrington undercard. He's back out. He sold 600 tickets. You know, he's got a huge future, and putting him so high up the card, you know, it's going to get him ready and prepared for those big nights to come.
You rattled off all them fights there, Frank, and I was very impressed. But again, rattling off them fights, there's some very decent, good fights on there. So this card might have flown under the radar a little bit, but if you love boxing, tune in.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's going to be all action. Now, we had a great night in Monaco last week, a great night of just 4 fights, but 4 brilliant fights, you know, back and forth the whole way through. And this is another one, you know, we want to deliver. I think we've spoken quite openly about where boxing needs to change and making real fights. You know, for too long, we've all, not other promoters, I'm saying we've all been a reason as to why boxing probably hasn't grown at the rate of the likes of MMA with UFC, but we need to make proper fights. We still need to build fighters, we still need to grow and develop fighters, but we have to put them in proper fights, and that is going to grow the sport, and will show in the long term as well positive change for the fighters coming through.
I'm glad you mentioned Monaco and proper fights, because I want to give my selfish opinion here. When I look at Joe Cordina and Lee Wood and I go off their last 3 or 4 fights, I go off the Ogawa knockout, the Rakhimov fight for Joe Cordina, then I go to Lee Wood and I go to the Lara fights, the Conlon fight, the Warrington fight, all the drama, the knockdowns, the blood and guts in them fights. I'm looking at Lee Wood and I'm putting Joe Cordina together and I'm thinking drama, knockdowns, the works. Selfishly as a boxing fan, I want to see that fight, but obviously you know Joe Cordina, you know the business end of everything. What does he want? The unification, the big stadium fight, the money? What does he want now at this stage of his career?
Look, we need to make, you know, obviously represent Lee Wood, represent Joe Cordina. We need to make fights that make sense for all of them. You know, as you say there, it would be an unbelievable fight. You know, obviously for Joe Cordina, there's that fight, there's the Navarrete, there's the Ashaki Foster fight. You know, another one I said before as well is even Mick Conlon could be an interesting fight. You know, he's obviously got Jordan Gill. You know, that's another one. Then you've got for Lee Wood, obviously you've got the talks of a possible Josh Warrington fight. The same, maybe a Conlon fight as well, you know, but because Lee wouldn't fight Jordan Gill if Jordan Gill was to win, you know, but there's so many big fights to be made there. We have to make the fights that make the best sense for each of those individuals. I agree with you that Lee Wood, Joe Cordina fight would be tremendous, so let's see, but the work's on, you know, talks are ongoing, we're making plans now, so you know, we need to deliver the big nights.
If that Lee Wood, Joe Cordina fight does get made, do you mind just giving Coogan a little nudge and say, I want Andrew down there, because that's a fight that I want to see selfishly. Like I said to you, I want to see that fight, so give Coogan a wee nudge. Conor Benn,
I'll buy you a ticket, even if he sends someone else. I'll buy you a ticket.
Frank, that's getting clipped and that's going to put on my Instagram. Yeah, Conor Benn was out. Thanks very much. I do appreciate that. Conor Benn was out in Monaco as well, and I seen Eddie Hearn's post. He was at the Tottenham Chelsea game, and he put up a wee post saying, "Good to be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. See you soon." Now, me looking at my... Is he? I never knew that. But the conspiracy theorist in me is thinking, Conor Benn, Chris Eubank, Tottenham Hotspur, that's what's going to happen. Is it?
Look, discussion's ongoing. Look, we've spoken for so long and been talking about the fight for so long. I don't want to sound like a broken record. It's the biggest fight out there for both of them. I think it's the fight that happens next. There's work going on in the background. Tottenham is an amazing stadium. There's obviously the opportunity of Principality in Cardiff as well. So, I think we're all fully focused on trying to make that fight happen, and nothing comes close to it is the reality. There's no other fight for either of them that, not just financially, but in terms of the right fight at the right points of their career. I think now's the time.
January,
yeah, January's a date we're looking at. So hopefully some news soon. We're working very hard.
You said that there's no other bigger fight. Now, this is probably a difficult question for me to ask you, but Chris Eubank Sr. done an interview with Joe Pugh, and he basically went on I wouldn't say a rant, but he went on a passionate little plea saying to Conor Benn that whoever the numpty is, in his words, who's advising you to go up to 160, don't do it. You're a 147 fighter. Stay at 147 and fight HARLEM Eubank. Just want to get your comments on that.
Yeah, look, obviously Chris Eubank Sr. is working closely with HARLEM now. We saw him at the press conference yesterday. Obviously, he's now representing essentially HARLEM. Like, maybe that's a fight in the future. And also, I think Conor's in the stage of his career where he can go to 160 and still come back down. Like he was at, it was training, I think the first fight was 157. Obviously, this one would be 160. The first fight that didn't happen. But, he's still young enough, I think, to be able to do that with his weight. But again, I think let's see. There's a lot of talk. We got to try and make things happen.
That's what it's an exciting time. I'll touch on Joshua and Wilder. Now, Wilder done an interview with Blue Blood Sports out in America. Now, I'm paraphrasing here, Frank. I don't have the quote on me, but it was something along the lines of, I think I need to jump on a plane to speak to Joshua. I think he's afraid of me. But I want to sit down and have a chat with him with some real man shit or something along them lines. But I just want to get your comments on that as well. Is Joshua afraid of him? And do you think Wilder will have the goal to jump on a plane and come and speak with Joshua?
No, I don't think Anthony's afraid of him. Look, we've seen the people he's been in with on some of the biggest nights. I don't think he's afraid of him, no. But I don't also think he's going to be jumping on a plane. Make interesting content. Maybe he should and just film it and we see how it goes. But, look, we worked for a long time to try and make that fight happen. I believe all these fights in the heavyweight division will happen in time. The key for us and the focus for us is to keep Anthony Joshua active, and that's what we're working on now, and hopefully have some news soon. But, I do think all of these fights, the likes of the Wilders, the Furies, even the Ngannou now has got himself in the mix, obviously, with the performance he had. I can see all of these fights happening. It's an exciting time for the heavyweight division.
Definitely is. Now, Eddie Hearn mentioned the Francis Ngannou fight for Joshua in Africa. It's going to be a huge fight, but I want to stay on the Wilder fight. He's saying all the right things, Deontay Wilder, about wanting to fight AJ and this, that, and the next thing, and AJ's saying all the right things. Now, I'm not privy to any of the conversations, the business sense of things, so how difficult it is to get a fight of that magnitude on it from your perspective?
Yeah, look, the business has to make sense, and that's the key. That's our job, essentially, is we have to deliver for the fighter. With the fighter, we don't represent Deontay Wilder, obviously, but that's the focus for us. And that's what it has to come down to as well. You have to make the right decisions as well, and that's our job to go and do. So that's why I say Anthony Joshua is not scared of anyone, but it has to make sense. We've seen what he's done in his career, so anything we do has to make sense. We worked on the fight for a long time. We believed the fight would happen in terms of when we were having conversations. It obviously hasn't, but it's set a value, if you understand what I'm saying. And we then need to work to try and deliver the utmost value for our client in Anthony Joshua.
Can you understand the fans' frustration on the whole thing? Like, you want to fight me, I want to fight you, let's just fight. But obviously, you know what I mean. But
also, we are as much fans as well. We don't spend 4 or 5 months of our time working on something to sabotage it. Otherwise, we wouldn't waste the 4 or 5 months of our time. And there's reasons it hasn't happened, but I'm confident we can make it happen. So let's see. I think we're going to see some massive heavyweight fights in 2024.
A couple more from me then, because I know you're a busy man. You've got your Eddie Hearn hat on today, so that's good to see. Eddie Hearn did mention the Francis Ngannou fight with Tyson, with Anthony Joshua in Africa. Now, what a fight that would be, especially you just remember the not the Thrilling Manila, what was it? Rumble in the Jungle. Jeez, Rumble in the Jungle. What that produced, and I think with Francis Ngannou's performance against Tyson Fury, he's propelled himself now up in the boxing world, the fraternity, so to speak. And two heavy hitters, two big men. I mean, as a fight fan, I wouldn't mind watching that. But how serious is Eddie in making that fight?
Yeah, look, 100%. It's definitely a fight. Commercially now, it's one of the biggest fights out there. I think I saw Ngannou, some comments from him saying he's focused on making the Fury rematch, which I guess is his intention right now. But I definitely see it happening. Like I say, the heavyweight division's in a great place, and that's a good fight.
When Matchroom went to the Zone all them years ago, you were talking about the streaming platforms and blah, 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 blah. Now, PBC and Netflix seem to be teaming up. Netflix is going to trial a PBC show and a Jake Paul show, I believe. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's just rumours at the minute. They're having their first sort of step into live sport. I think they're doing a golf event with some of the Formula One drivers and golfers in Las Vegas around the Formula One. I think that's one of the first live sport events they've looked at. I don't know whether it's, again, like I said, I don't know whether it's realistic. I think any new broadcasters into the market, is good. I think streaming, as we've said, and the reason we made the move, we believe in the DAZN product. We believe streaming is the future of how people digest sport and any content. So, I think it's good to see other people wanting to get involved.
I'll ask Eddie Hearn this question every time I finish the interview with him. Why should the fans tune in Saturday night?
Because I think if you watch that press conference today, you see there's a lot of fire in there between a load of these fighters and fights that mean a lot to their career. So it's going to be we're in for a good one. Tune in Next Gen live on DAZN Saturday night.
Saturday night, I'll be there, Frank. Thanks so much, my man. Fist bump handshake, one of them funny ones. You would do it, yeah. Thanks, Frank.